everybody, this is Les Nesquick with FUX Radio, and you are listening to the Breaking Hyman podcast with Lori and Morgan.
Professionalism and timeliness, punctuality, and grace.
Yeah. The first time we have a professional comic on, you're late,
right?
and you're
and I
fine.
look like this. I've been sick all week. I don't know if he told you.
No, I'm glad you showed up to share.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a UTI. So if you catch it from me,
well, if you catch it
you're
from
not
me,
going to care.
We've got other stories to tell. Yeah,
right.
UTI TMI.
yeah. UTIs are crazy though, right?
This one fucking was. It was normal.
They'll affect your brain.
Go. I'm sorry, what?
They'll affect your brain. Like, they'll make you crazy.
and apparently your hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know UTI make you go deaf, but
this one did. That's how bad it was. No, it started, like, the pain and everything started on Sunday. I go to the doctor on Monday, and on Wednesday, I'm still running 103.5 fever. And, like, once you're over 35, and I'm barely over 35.
Barely.
Same.
The fever will kick your ass, and that's what it did, and continued to do. And yesterday, I'm texting him, I'm like, I know we got the thing, and I'm there, don't worry about it. And he's like, you don't have to come. we don't need.
Yeah.
No, he didn't say that. But.
Well, yeah. If you feel like you're dying. Like,
yeah, but
we can reschedule.
I went back to the doctor yesterday. They gave me a shot, which is what I had asked for initially. And
yeah, I used to go to the bar and ask for a shot.
Well, I had tried that on Wednesday and and then after that still had the fever and was like, fine.
Yeah.
So that's an apropos intro for the Breaking Hyman podcast of UTI. So this is Breaking Hyman with Morgan and Lori, or Lori and Morgan. Our guest today is Matt Ferrell. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cool. So tell us where you're from. First off,
I'm originally from Lawton, Oklahoma, which is if anybody knows Oklahoma, they're like, oh yeah, Lawton. We've heard of it. We drive around it.
Fort Sill, right?
Yeah, Fort Sill is probably what makes it as big as it is. But Lawton's always been a pretty rough town. Now I live 20 minutes outside of Lawton.
Had to get out of the crime.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been to Lawton.
Yeah.
I had two great aunts. Clearly, they passed.
They weren't that great.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I mean, that one time I met them, they were.
Oh yeah, just once. So you were our first pro comic that we. So this is your full-time job.
Yeah, this is it.
Wow.
Yeah. So how long ago did you start doing stand-up, Matt?
It depends on who I'm trying to sell myself to.
Okay.
If I'm trying to sell myself to somebody big, I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this 11 years. If I'm being honest with people, I did my first stand-up 11 years ago, but I still had young kids who were very busy, so that turned into 8 years of me just kind of doing it every once in a while when I could. The last 3 years really been hitting hard.
Okay,
so the last 3 years is full time.
Was it COVID that kind of gave you the kick in the ass to do it?
Well, I decided I was going to do it right before COVID. I was like, all right, hey, if I'm going to do it, I've got to do it all the way. I don't have the ability to half-ass something, so I was like, all right. I sold my business, sold everything that went with it. I'm like, all right, here I go, comedy full time. I got like 8 shows booked for after the first. I was like, January 1's when I'm going to start everything.
It was his fault.
I had 8 shows booked for after. Yeah. And then COVID happened, and all 8 places called and canceled. And I was like, well, shit.
Welcome to stand-up.
I need all my tools back so I can go back to work. You know?
Oh yeah. What line of work were you in prior?
I used to own a garage door company.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So if worse comes to worse,
Yeah. If it doesn't work out in the long run, I've got some vocational skills that I can fall back on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems to be working out. You seem to always be on the road. Where all are you touring right now?
Oklahoma and Texas the most.
Right.
We've got some stuff coming up in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas. So kind of that South Midwest area.
Okay.
We need a new name for this general that
Yeah,
strip
the
between
region.
like
Southwest doesn't seem appropriate.
right.
It really
It's
doesn't.
like North Texas up to Canada.
Yeah, but it was always weird to me that they called what's called the Midwest is really kind of on the east.
Yeah, northeast.
It's on
Yeah.
the eastern side of
Yeah.
the country. It didn't really make sense, but
Yeah, I think that was like before the rest. They started calling it the Midwest before like we had the rest of the country.
yeah, it was Midwest when they thought the world stopped at the Rockies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've gone a little bit further now.
We live in the northern part of Texas,
Uh-huh.
in the South Plains,
Mhm.
in the Great Plains, but we're in the southern part of the United. Like, there's no.
But it's West Texas.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're West Texas. And
Yeah.
like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'll play your
I had a
solo
buddy
game.
when we were kids. He would always go. I guess he had family out somewhere, and I said, "Where are you going this summer?" He goes, "Oh, we're just going to West Texas,"
Oh yeah.
and that's all he would ever say. I'm like, West Texas is huge.
I mean,
like
That's Amarillo to El Paso.
Yeah.
That's,
narrow it
it's
down a
huge.
little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I just found out?
What's
There's
that?
shit north of Amarillo.
Yeah.
I know.
A little bit,
Crazy.
like Tampa.
Well, it's,
nothing worth looking at, but yeah, it's
No,
up
not
there.
a damn-
Harrington's like
Fritch.
a whole
Oh,
town.
Perryton. Jeez, fuck Perryton.
Well,
Yeah, Fritch is north of Amarillo.
Fritch. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Fritch. Yeah, Ron
That's where
White.
Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron White.
Ron
Yeah.
Wright.
Juan Wright.
My professionalism just
That's a
barreling.
Fritch is where years ago. It's where the Million Acre Fire
Oh,
happened
I don't know if I remember
years
that.
ago. Yeah, I don't know how old are you, Morgan?
I'll be 42 in August.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
I just turned 43.
Okay, yes, and Lori
I'm
is 20.
36.
Yeah, right.
Don't be ridiculous. No one's going to believe I'm in my 20s.
Hey, we're not on video. You can lie.
All right. Oh, promise me we won't ever do that. I'll have to stop.
Yeah, he asked if
I-
we do video when he first got here. I'm like, no video.
Yeah, no. You can put a filter on it.
That's
Yeah.
a different channel. And he won't let me promote it here.
Right. Oh yeah.
Kidding.
The only
Yeah.
chance. So, what do you have any like career milestones you've reached with comedy right now? I know you're 3 years into being a pro, but
Yeah. I mean, the first milestone was getting to headline a legit club,
awesome.
which I've done a few, and it's always awesome. It's great when you walk into a place and you know that it's packed and it's because you're there.
That's awesome.
That's always a good feeling. And then I've gotten to work with some bigger name guys. You know, I went to Arkansas and worked with David Keckner not too long ago.
I saw that on your Facebook. Yeah,
Yeah.
Champ Kind, David Packer.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fucking great. That's
And
cool.
Amazing dude.
Is he?
Amazing.
I was gonna ask
was.
if he's nice.
I'd heard horror stories.
Oh really?
I'd heard because he had a substance abuse problem.
Oh right. Yeah,
which
yeah.
is public. I don't feel like I'm speaking out of character.
No,
I mean,
no. He talked
there's
about it on Neil
videos.
Brennan's podcast.
Yes, there's video of him going crazy,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, man, I hope he's still in the wagon because I don't want to go out there and have to try to keep up.
Right.
You know,
sure.
but I'm also not gonna turn it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, and I did, and he was still on the wagon, and so we
That's
we
good.
went to brunch and shit together.
Oh,
So that was
cool.
a lot nicer than.
Was that a casino show? in Arkansas?
No, it was at the Grove Comedy
Okay.
Club.
Oh, cool. In
Grove.
Arkansas?
Yeah, in
Nice.
Lowell, Arkansas.
Okay.
Really nice club.
Comics at brunch would be a great podcast.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean that's
If you can get
almost,
them up
Stone
early enough.
brunch,
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you can get them up early enough.
right?
Oh man, that's cool. Who else have you gotten to work with so far? I know that's a big one.
Yeah, David's probably the biggest one. I mean, and then working with guys like John Carden.
Oh, John Carden.
Carden's a killer.
Yeah.
So
he-
Ralph Barbosa and I performed in the same club the same night.
Oh, nice.
So like we know each other from performing in the same
Right.
clubs, but obviously I went like
No, you
we weren't on
co-headlined.
the-
I remember.
yeah,
I saw that.
yeah. We weren't on the same show, but we worked the same club
Yeah.
the same night. Great young man.
Yeah,
very
I
nice.
met him really briefly in the Addison Improv when he was opening for Dan Sutter. Really nice guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've talked about it a couple times with other people. I wish that, and this is not taking anything away from Ralph at all. I wish that I was Hispanic because, dude, Mexicans will come out and support
Oh,
their
yeah,
people
they sure do.
hard.
Yeah.
He can sell out for an audience that has already seen him 9 times.
Yeah.
He can sell out a theater there in Dallas 4 times in one weekend and do the exact same set every time, and they won't care.
Yeah.
They're just coming out to support one of theirs.
I know. It's
really
so
cool. Nice. Yeah, us whiteys don't have that.
We have no loyalty. I mean, when we're loyal to each other, the problems start.
Yeah, it gets weird. Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's have a rally. Oh, no, let's not do that.
Let's call it something else. Okay. It's not a gathering. Nope, that's still bad.
Yeah. You better not fuck up barbecue for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We gotta stop having barbecue.
So, you put together a festival here a couple months ago. I was part of. So what are you've had a couple months to think about it. How did for a first year festival? How do you feel about that? I had a lot of fun
for the first ever, and I don't know how many people knew this. I've never been to a festival.
Oh yeah, this is the first one I've been to.
So having never been to a festival, being our first festival that we actually hosted and put on, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Not just from the work we did, but the comics that we were able to attract. Everybody there did great.
Yeah.
I had people who bought tickets and came that said, "Hey, like we live in Austin.
Yeah.
We've been to 2 festivals in Austin that cost us $60 a person to get into. Nobody there was as good as your worst person here."
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And I was like, that's awesome. So like we attracted some really talented comics to that deal.
There were some hilarious people on that, and really cool. I didn't meet. I mean, there were some people on there that are like, whatever. But I didn't meet anybody that I wouldn't watch again.
Right.
They were all great. And we had people from all over the place.
Yeah, New York, California,
Moldova.
Yeah, Moldova.
Val was hilarious.
Yeah,
I really liked her.
She's and now everybody that was there, of course, now I follow them. I followed everybody that came, and so her videos will pop up sometime. Yeah. And she's so dry.
Oh yeah.
She looks like she's fixing to be angry about something, and then she'll say something. Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
Then there's a few of them that I've like Trent Ludzak, the hippie dude. That guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy was so funny. He killed me. Very Hedberg, but. Yeah. So, have you'd worked with John Carden prior to that?
Yeah.
So, how did you meet up with him? Just doing shows?
Andrew Patterson, who owns Comedy Avenue, he had met John somewhere previous, and then reached out to him and asked if John would come do a show at his club.
Right.
And John agreed to do that. Well, then I was already putting on a veterans benefit show the night before the show at Andrew's place.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Andrew was like, "Hey, John's a vet. You want me to reach out and see if he wants to come down a day early and just hop on that with you?"
Nice.
I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." I fully did not expect him to, because nobody was getting. It's a 100% benefit. All of the money went to the veterans. I was really proud of that show too. Mm-hmm. And John was like, "Yeah, for sure, I'll be there." So he came down a day early, and he featured for me on the Veterans Benefit show, and then the next night I featured for him at Comedy Avenue. So we worked together there, and then I had reached out to him, I think while he was here for that, I said, "Hey, we're working on putting a festival together. Would you be interested in headlining it?" He goes, "Yeah, for sure." I said, "How much would it cost to get you there?" He gave me a number, and I said, "Definitely doable. Let's make it happen." So I said, "I'll shoot you a date." He agreed to it. He came out. The idea, and I feel like, to clear this up, I headlined the first night, and I had John headline the second night. That was not to toot my own horn or to give myself that spot. That was, I could only afford to pay one headliner.
Exactly.
So I did it for free. That's what we did. That's one thing I will say is, which, I mean, you're going to have haters whenever you're putting something like that together. We put too much information out because we wanted to be 100% transparent so that people could see everything. This is how much we're charging for this, and this.
Right.
This is how much. But we didn't put, "Hey, this is how much we're paying for this, and this." So they were like, "Oh, you're just using the comics to pay for this." Yeah, that's how a festival works.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I mean, I got my money's worth. I mean, I think I paid like $30 to submit. You guys gave us a T-shirt,
ACL and you think they're not paying those performers?
Yeah, it was every comic that performed got a goodie bag that had it was the bag, a joke book, a shot glass, a T-shirt. I think there was something else in there. The bracelets,
the bracelets, the vinyl tote bag itself. Yeah, I mean, I had a great time.
Yeah, all of those things. If you were to buy all those individual, most if you go someplace and buy a T-shirt, it's going to be minimum $20.
Yeah, no kidding.
So you paid $30 for your entry. Plus, I wish more people, and I was glad that you came because you
Yeah.
were very interactive in the Q&A deal. I thought that more of the comics would have come to that. Like, hey, you got an opportunity to come and ask questions.
That's one of the main things I wanted to do is get info on you know how to do tech stuff and networking and joke writing and everything.
And then what I liked the most about it was there were some of the things that people had questions about that John and I, neither one are smart enough to answer.
Yeah.
But other people that were just there were like, hey, this is what I do. So it just became an open forum. Like it just became a conversation, which I really liked. And John had dropped it to me after. I was like, man, I really thought more people would show up for that. And he goes, here's what you do. He said, from now on, record that. And then put it on your website or your page. People will go back and watch it, and you'll get a lot of views off that.
Yeah,
but not everybody wants to stay out all night long and then show up early the next day just to sit basically in a classroom.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't even, I mean, I'm not a party dude or anything, but I mean, I just like to hang. I mean, there was definitely, there's a couple of guys that I won't say who, but we were watching a show and I kind of look and he's like spaced out and I'm like, he's like, I just took some mushrooms. I'm like, all right, cool, good for you, buddy. So there was,
I'm drawing a blank right now. Otherwise, I would call him 100% by name because I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
He's the same guy that just followed me into my room.
Oh wow!
And then just stood there, and I was like, bro, I want to hang out, but I'm getting in bed.
Yeah.
And eventually he's like, so do you want me to go? Dude, I stripped down to my underwear because I thought that would be hint enough.
Oh, wow. It's like, hey, what are we going to do?
That is mixed signals, buddy. I mean, if you want him to leave, you don't...
I wasn't doing it seductively. You know, I didn't drop trowel slowly.
No. You're uncomfortable.
That's what happens at comedy festivals. A lot of bro jobs.
Again, that's why I don't ride with you.
Oh, God.
We had another one there. Yeah, well, we'll just let that one.
No,
you're talking with Molly?
You don't have to name names.
It'd be
because you had to put Molly up for the night.
Yeah, it was 100% Molly.
I mean the drug.
Molly.
Oh, she's great. I love Molly.
I wish we were talking about drugs. No, Molly showed up and she goes, "Hey, I'm here. Does anybody got someplace I can stay?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So she wound up sleeping in my cabin. To which we get back there and I'm like, dude,
She kind of took over your room, didn't
I want to be a gentleman about it. I was like, okay, I'll go sleep on the couch. You can have the bed.
Tonight.
Which it was a love seat.
Yeah.
Not a full couch. And I'm not a tall guy, but I'm too tall for a love seat.
Sure, yeah.
So I get laid on the love seat, and I'm covered up, and I'm like, all right, this is...
I show up and
I made my bed.
I'm not taking the bed. Dude.
Well, then she comes out, and she's like, the bed's big enough. We can share the bed. We can...
Are you married?
But my wife, I could call my wife and go, hey, I'm going to share a bed with this lady. I've got clothes on. She's got clothes on.
This hot blonde is going to...
Yeah. She's got...
Don't let Morgan call you.
She got a phenomenal fake boob job, but she's going to stay on her side of the bed. I'm going to stay on my... Yeah, my wife did. She does. Yeah. My wife wouldn't care at all. She's like, I don't give a shit. Just don't get in trouble.
I mean, if she's like, good luck, then probably.
Yeah. I don't know that she'd wish me luck on the situation. But she my wife wouldn't care about that.
That's
stuff.
not on my care, and I want to be her assistant. I think I can live this life.
Yeah. So do you have any other fun road stories from just touring and anything weird happen in interaction with fans? That?
Okay. So I mean, I have some of the greats are like. I have some stories about shitting my pants.
Great.
Keep a theme.
I'll do a story about shitting my pants, and then next year I'll come back, and there'll be people who come back for that show, and they've brought me like porta potties.
Nice.
And or people will send me messages like, "Hey, I just saw this, made me think of you. Here you go." So I get stuff like. Matter of fact, last time I was in Lubbock, somebody brought me. They had made me a porta potty.
Wow.
And put Matt's emergency toilet. Made a label for it and everything. It was pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
And they brought it to the show.
good friend named Matt. He's not a comic. He's in archaeology. But he has an incredible shit story, and he could use his personal porta potty. Your buddy might be on to something.
Yeah.
Or if you want to sell yours.
Yeah,
I
you
know
can just do that as merch. Just call the guy, see if he can make them for you.
That's what I've had, because I talk about making sure I have Taco Bell napkins in my glove box. And that's somebody reached out and said, hey, dude, merch item. You need to get napkins made that just say emergency toilet paper on it or whatever.
What kind of merch do you have right now?
T-shirts is all I travel with.
Okay.
It's just tough to travel with too much merch and run your own merch table everywhere you go and what have you. So
that's a pain. Yeah, because I can't even imagine comics that are flying everywhere. Got to take a carry-on full of that or ship it ahead or something. That's got to be a pain.
Dude, David Keckner he had some of the smartest merch. Of course, he's a big movie star, so his merch moves real easy.
Yeah, easily.
But he just had a folder. And he just had those 8x10 printed, and they were still shots from either from Anchorman or The Office or whatever, and had sayings, like some of his famous sayings on it. But he went through and he autographed all of them as he got them, and then he would just sell autographed pictures.
Nice.
But it was just a folder that fit in a backpack, and that was his merch.
Wow.
Brilliant.
So it was pretty good there.
I would much rather have that than like
like a koozie or something.
The koozie. I'm a koozie user, and I'd wear the shirt. But
that's do you know Dustin Sims?
I know the name.
Dustin. I did a show with Dustin Sims, and he's the one who kind of changed the way I looked at how much merch I took. Is I had because I had like 6 different styles of T-shirts.
Oh wow! Yeah,
that I was taking it was just so much. He had one style of shirt, and he had a hard case fold rolly suitcase.
Yeah.
And he packed that thing before he'd leave, and if he sold out, he sold out. If he didn't, he didn't. Oh, and he also had the silicone bracelet, the rubber bracelets.
Yeah.
That was the other, which that's super cheap merch that you can buy. I suggest everybody do that. Those are
for the video.
I sell those for anywhere from $3 to $5.
Oh yeah,
because I've got some that it just says this is Matt Ferrell comedy on the backside. It says this is not toilet paper.
Oh nice.
Sell them for $3 to $5 depending on where you're at, and then I get T-shirts that are $20.
Yeah, cool.
But those are so cheap. I went to a show in Looney Bin in Oklahoma City at the Looney Bin before it closed down. And there's a guy there, I can't remember he was like the Jamaican sensation or something. I don't remember what his name was. That's the only merch he had was bracelets like that, and he sold them for $10 a piece.
Jeez.
Every person that left the show bought one.
Wow.
And it's the only thing they could get.
It's like a 250 seat room.
Yeah.
So that's
$10.
So he made $2,500 just on those 22-cent a piece.
I mean,
bracelets.
he might have given away 10.
But seriously. So, have you done? I know with a lot of like Live Nation now, which that's. You're not doing any Live Nation venues, I guess, but they're taking a cut of the merch now from like bands and stuff. Have you gone into any venues where they're taking a cut of the merch?
No, I've not.
That's a big deal.
I did
in the industry now.
I've gone 2 places that said if we wanted to sell merch, they were going to take a cut.
Yeah.
I just didn't sell merch.
Yeah.
One of them was we did a show on Fort Sill. And it was here's what I didn't get. It was a free show for the soldiers.
Yeah.
So we're not making any money off of it. And then they're like, and also if you sell merch, we're getting a piece of that too. And we're like, what?
That's ridiculous.
I just won't sell merch, or I'll just give everybody my Linktree.
There you go. Yeah.
Address, and they can just come buy merch online.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
I'm not doing that. I give away stickers all the time for free that have got my Linktree code on it.
Yeah. So you're a dad. You're married with kids. What does your family think about what you do? Are they into it or?
Yeah, everybody's really supportive.
That's cool.
How old are you?
Waited. My youngest is 17. He's a boy, and I've got a 21-year-old boy and a 24-year-old daughter. And she just made me a grandpa, so I've now got a 1-month-old grandson.
So you can do granddad comedy now.
Yeah, I haven't written anything yet.
I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, for sure. I changed one of his first diapers in the hospital.
Wow.
And he peed in his own ear, and I was like, "That's fucking cool."
Wow.
Yeah.
My boy.
Yeah, I went to lift his feet to slide the diaper under. It was aimed, ricocheted off his chest, pissed in his own ear. I was like, "That's awesome."
Good for you. Good for him. Did you take a little sucky thing and suck the piss out of his ear?
I just rolled him on his sides. And
It was professional. He's like, stick it out. Oh no!
So you get I mean, I've seen your act several times. You get a lot of material out of your the wife and kids, life stuff. Yeah, you're kind of a storyteller comedian. How do you approach your joke writing and stuff?
Come up with an idea or something that happened that is kind of funny, and then of course you just embellish it and build it from there. A lot of times I'll just bring something up while I write on stage. So I'll just bring something up that I thought of, and I'll bring it up in the middle of my set, and I'll try to work it out a little bit. If it's going good, I'll keep rolling with it. If not, I'll bail and go to something that I know works.
Okay.
So it's a really easy, but I don't have the days off to go hit open mics.
Sure, yeah.
Which, I mean, is a good problem to have, but it just means I just have to try new material on shows.
Right, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Do you write?
Yeah, I
write. You actually write it
I write
down?
everything longhand.
Wow.
I write everything longhand.
After the show?
Yeah. I'll jot down ideas. Like I'll think of something. I'll be, hey, remember the other day when, so and so did this, whatever, and I'll jot that down, or I'll make a note in my phone. And then I'll start trying to work it on stage, and then I'll take what worked, and then I'll write it out, and I'll write longhand the entire joke word for word, and then continue to work it on stage after that. But writing it longhand helps me remember everything. Nice. But I still take notes on stage, and I don't give a fuck who says anything about it.
Yeah, I've gotten a little bit of shit from some of the other. I'm like, come on, I'm not like reading verbatim what's on there.
Tell them to pay attention to over half of the specials that are on Netflix.
Oh yeah, no,
there are notes on stage.
Yeah, I saw Chad Daniels, and he had his phone. He had his little. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this bit. I mean, that guy's been doing this shit for 25 years.
Shit, I just drew a blank on his. Him and Mike Birbiglia are good friends. He just had a special come out this year on Netflix. Pete Holmes.
Oh yeah, I love Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes, between the two monitors at the front of the stage, his notes are taped to the stage.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais, that's why he has a podium. It's not for a place to set his beer, it's for a place to set his notes.
Sure, yeah.
Mark Norman has a monitor at the back of the room.
Oh yeah, I saw Norman a couple months ago in El Paso. He's got,
So, when people go to, and don't get me wrong, like Ralphie May was one of the big ones. He was like, fuck you if you use notes.
Yeah.
Be a professional, remember your material, and go about it. That's good if that works for him. Yeah. I've had a lot of concussions. I can't remember shit.
Football or what?
I rodeoed for a long time.
You're a bull rider?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and my motto was don't let go till your head hits the ground twice, and I took that shit serious.
How old were you when you were doing rodeo?
I started getting on bulls when I was probably 12 or 13.
Oh jeez.
And then by the time I turned 15, I was entering in rodeos, and I did that until months after I became a dad, and I was like, hey, it's time to grow up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I did well. I made good money.
Not a grown. I mean.
Yeah, I did well. I made good money. I got my pro card. I was hitting shows. I traveled and hit it hard, which I think is part of what is such an appeal to me about traveling as a comic. I love the being on the road, staying in hotels. Yeah. I like the oh shit. That show didn't pay as well as I thought it would. Looks like I'm sleeping in the car tonight.
Oh, wow.
Like, all of it, it's miserable in the moment, but then later on when you get home, you're like, fuck, I was sleeping in this truck stop, and some guy kept tapping on my window asking if I wanted to blow. It's just another story to tell.
Lot lizards.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the appeal, is it just takes me back to those days.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I mean, that's kind of how I got into it. I was doing music and stuff when I was younger, and I think there's a lot of guys that get in through it through some kind of performative something or other.
Yeah.
But what did you say was the biggest reason you got into stand-up?
Jennifer Gonzalez.
Okay.
Jennifer, her name's Jennifer Neighborn now.
Okay.
She got married. She used to work with me at a casino, and she was one of those. She was a really good friend of mine then. I mean, still is, but she would every day we would work together, and she'd go, "You should do comedy." Mm-hmm. Because I just tried to be funny and be light and make the job fun all the time. And every day she would go, "You should do comedy," and she just kept on and kept on. And eventually it got to where I was like, and because the first 3 weeks of her saying that shit, I was just like, never even thought. I was always a huge comedy fan, but I didn't know anything about getting out. I saw, George Carlin and Richard Pryor and Don Rickles I saw those guys and I was like, I can't do that.
Oh yeah.
I can't do that. But she kept on and kept on and kept on, and then eventually I saw Rodney Carrington.
Okay.
And Rodney Carrington, and I was like, oh, he's just
I
talking.
can do that.
He's just talking shit about his life.
Yeah.
I can do that. And then she said it one more. She was like, you should do comedy. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so then I just went and I did. But it's one of those things, like if somebody tells you enough times over and over and over, like my wife, it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah.
But for 24 years, she's been telling me I'm a good singer. I don't fucking believe her, which is why I still only sing to myself in the car when I'm by myself. But I think eventually she's going to say it enough times, I'm going to go, all right, I'll go to karaoke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then within 11 years, he'll be...
Yeah, and then
You'll put out your album.
Yeah, 11 years later, I'll put out an album.
And you'll be
And that's when the rest of the world will go, yep, your wife was lying, motherfucker. You can't sing.
And you'll be like, my great-grandkid.
Yeah.
But I also, like, so, there was no comedy in Lawton.
Oh yeah, no.
So I didn't have any idea. Like I said, all I knew was what I had seen on HBO.
Sure.
So I thought, oh, that's how you do comedy. So I was like, okay, well, here's what I got to do. I've got to go rent a huge venue. I've got to sell tickets, promote it. I got to do all these things, and then get as many people there as I can. And then I have to talk for an hour.
And be funny.
And be funny.
To be funny.
So that's what I did. I went out and got a bunch of sponsors for a show.
Holy shit!
I rented a McMahon Auditorium that seats 1,500. Wow. It cost $1,500 to rent it.
Okay.
I got sponsors to cover the cost.
Dollars.
I got sponsors to cover radio ads. I did flyers. I got 4 other guys to come and perform. They all did 15 minutes apiece.
Okay.
So they did an hour. It was a 2-hour long show. Between the 4 of them, they did an hour, and then I did about an hour, maybe an hour and 5 by myself.
Yeah.
And that was my first time ever on stage.
How did that go?
What the?
I sold 200 tickets.
Okay.
Which is not bad for your first show, but when it's in a building that seats 1,500,
Yeah.
Not done
that's
an open
empty.
mic?
I'd never done an open mic. No,
That's insane.
I'd never done anything.
How did you prepare
But
for
I
that?
didn't know.
Yeah.
I just wrote shit, and I would run it by my wife, and I go, "Do you think this is funny?" And she goes, "No," and I'm like, "Okay, I think other people."
What was the
Why didn't you ask Jennifer? That's the chick you needed to be asking.
Well, I want to hear more about this. So what was the?
So we sold 200 tickets, which when it all, I mean, because after the sponsorship and getting everything paid for, I was out of pocket a little bit.
Sure.
So after the $200 tickets or 200 worth of tickets that we'd sold, I probably made $20 on the deal.
Okay. Well,
You made money.
But the
You
first
made money.
So the first show I ever did, I got paid for.
yeah.
Right.
I did it in an auditorium that seats 1,500 people. Didn't have that many people.
Yeah.
You headlined.
I headlined. I did an hour on stage. I drank way too much.
Sure.
Trying to keep
Well,
my
thank God there
trying
was
to keep my
something
courage
a
up.
normal comic might be able to play.
Yeah, and then, but that was all it took. Then I was like, oh, okay, yeah,
You got the bug.
this is what I'm gonna do.
Wow.
But then I started researching and trying to figure it out. But I didn't go to my first open mic until maybe 4 years ago.
Really? Wow.
All right.
I just kept
I'm
putting
jumping
on.
in.
I just kept putting on shows.
Huh.
I would just go. After that, I learned.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe not places that big.
Sure.
But I'll go and talk to a bar. Just saying what we do now. I'll go in and talk to a bar. Hey, would you guys be interested in a comedy show? And they're like, yeah, sure. What do you do? I said, it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to pay me anything. I'll charge $10 at the door. Whatever the door makes is what I make.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't bring anybody, I don't make any money.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then I started doing comedy shows that way. So, but I didn't get to do it as often as I wanted because, like I said, my kids were still young.
Sure.
My daughter was a competitive softball player. We traveled all over the country with travel ball, and I wouldn't miss anything. I wouldn't put comedy before
You
my
don't
kids
give up a
anymore.
lucrative rodeo career to go run off and be gone every night.
Yeah.
Or I would think.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So, but that's how I started comedy.
Wow. That's a hell of a
Yeah,
way to start.
Yeah, it's weird.
That-
And so there's a comic. I think he lives in Arkansas now. When I first reached out to him, he was living in California somewhere. His name was Risky Betts,
Okay.
and he kind of looked like me. He wore a cowboy hat.
Sure.
He was a PRCA cowboy at one point in time. So a lot of his humor was cowboy related and kind of fit me. And I was like, okay, this guy's kind of the same lane as me. Let me reach out to him. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, how do I do this? What am I supposed to be doing? And he goes, well, tell me what you're doing right now. Because I just reached out and was like, hey, can I pick your brain a little bit? And he's like, yeah, for sure. So I said, what am I supposed to be doing? He goes, well, tell me what you are doing. So I told him, and he goes, well, shit, I should have called you and asked you what I should be doing.
Wow.
That's what
funny.
I'm saying.
So it was like, but it didn't make any sense to, even still, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why am I going to wait for somebody else to do it? And then I have to write the jokes.
Yeah.
I have to attract the people. I have to bring them in and then give you a piece of my money. That doesn't make sense to me. Why not just do it all myself, and what I make is what I make. If I don't do a good job, I don't get paid.
Yeah. That's a really interesting way to approach it. And I mean, it's obviously worked for you so far. Yeah, I think that might be next door.
Yeah, that's what.
I was like, y'all.
I
kept thinking,
it wasn't bothering me, but I could tell it was
background.
bothering y'all, and I was like, let me investigate. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I thought it might have been the
You
fan.
fixed it,
Yeah, no.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I went and did my first open mic 8 months ago, maybe. I've only performed at 2 local bars. And so when you were talking about, what were you saying? The festival and getting the festival together and all of that. Oh, when I asked you about how you write, or if you wrote it down, because I see these other comics, like writing jokes, and I have never written jokes, but I've always been told I was funny and that I should do comedy, and that, so I'm like, listen, I'm like, yeah. What this guy's doing, that's something I can do maybe. And now I never thought about, I just feel like, well, that worked, I'll remember it, and then I would tell it differently and some, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, this is great, I'm learning. And then he's like, how'd you get started?
Yeah.
And then you come back with, I just rented a fucking concert hall and headlined the show.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. Now,
if I had drive, dude, I wouldn't be doing stand-up.
Yeah. Now let me say this. And this is not to say that I did it better than anybody else.
I think that's been
I don't think that there's very many people that the way I did it would work for.
Sure.
Right.
But it was just a perfect storm. I was in a place that didn't have comedy, so anything I did was better than what they had.
Right. True.
So that worked out, and then I've just always been that. My wife, leading up to that, my wife was like, this is a big place. Like, don't you think, like, maybe, like what do you think about?
a lot of room.
She wanted me to do the bar stuff first. She was like, what do you think about just going to a bar and seeing if you can do a show there? And I was like, no. Because this is the way my brain works. I was
What's the point?
Here's the deal. If I go and do it at a bar, let's say there's 60 people, and only half of them laugh at one of my jokes, it's only 30 people. But if I fill a place that seats 1,500, and half of them laugh, 750 is still pretty fucking good. Because I was arrogant enough, I thought that I could sell 1,500 tickets.
Yeah.
Well, I
can't believe you sold 200. I mean,
yeah, well, it was wild.
Yeah.
That's
not a known comic.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
Wow. I did a show.
It's the Boomhauer School of Dating.
I told you I did
hit 'em all up.
Jack's Comedy Lounge.
Yeah.
Comedy Lounge? Comedy House? What's it called? House of Comedy. I don't know. Fuck, Jack's over in Rockwall, Texas.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Jack's and
Great
Rockwall.
place. Big props to them. If you ever get a chance to go over, hit them up. They'll book you.
Okay.
Awesome people.
Cool.
Anyway, I went over there. There was a couple that came to that show. They live down in that area now. They were at the first show I ever did.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so after the show, we're sitting and we're visiting, and they're like, okay, we think it's time for you to bring it full circle. It's time for you to do that theater again that you did the first show.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, so of course then it's a 3.5 hour drive home. She's with me, and I'm just like, so what do you think? I'm just wanting her to go, yeah, fucking pull the trigger, So we have talked a lot about it. It is a plan. I definitely want to do that theater again. But Lawton, Oklahoma is shit for trying to sell and promote shows.
Yeah.
People will drive to Oklahoma City to watch a band that just played the night before in Lawton, and they didn't go see them there.
Yeah, Lubbock's kind of the
makes
same way.
no sense.
It's these smaller towns. We don't have a lot of promoters that know how to handle acts.
I did this last time I did a show here.
We don't know how to act.
Oh yeah, that's true.
and I think that's probably
last time I did a show here. I allowed myself to get backed by a guy that told me he was a promoter. and it was the worst turnout I'd had.
Where was it the last time you did a show here? Because I know we did the show in Plainview together back in...
It was
Jake's.
I've done 2 shows at Jake's.
Yeah.
The first show was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you didn't come.
No, I wasn't. I saw you at Two Docs, and then we did the show together at the RUDC in Plainview.
Is it a DJ?
Huh?
Was it a DJ?
A DJ.
A radio DJ that booked you the second time?
No, I don't like. I'll off air. I'll see. If you know the guy. Because and I'm not bashing him at all. I think he oversold himself.
Sure.
And so, but it's a long way to drive to go, okay, man, hey, how good did you do? We're ready to rock and roll. He goes, I kind of forgot to share the flyer.
Wow.
And I'm
like, what a dipshit.
Motherfucker.
Tell me that a week ago. At least you could have put the word out, you know?
Yeah, because, I mean, you're touring. You've got to depend on these local promoters to promote the show locally. I mean, you don't know what the local scene's like and stuff.
Yeah, and I tell you, last night, I was driving back from the show we did last night, which was like 2 hours from the house. So I was driving home, and I just got thinking. I was like, do you know who William Lee Martin is?
Yeah.
So I just reached out to him. Like, we're friends on our personal pages also.
Sure.
I've never visited with him or talked. I don't even know how we became friends, but I just sent him a message because his career is something I hold his career in awe.
Right.
Because he's been doing it for so long. I think that he's great, but he's not those guys that have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
But he is, as far as I'm concerned, he's killing it. I mean, he's doing theaters every weekend, sold out consistently. So I think that's phenomenal. So I sent him a message. I was like, hey, man, let me pick your brain a little bit if you've got time. Where do you aim the majority of your promotional dollars? Like, where are you putting your promotion when you're going to a town where you don't know nobody?
Yeah.
And I just put it out there, and I was like, I mean, maybe he'll respond, maybe he won't. And about an hour later, he sent me a message back, and I was like, shit, awesome.
Yeah.
And he gave me a little bit of information. I was like, hey, thank you very much. He sent me back a thumbs up, and that was it. I don't want to bug him. I don't want to be that guy that's like, all right, now I want to. Can I open for you? Can I be on all your shows? I don't want to be that guy. I mean, unless you want me to, William. I mean, you can give me a call. I'm just kidding.
We'll see if he listens to this.
Yeah. By the way, Bert, if you're listening, I mean, I'm open. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, you know what? That would work well. I mean, I would watch that. Get on the Fully Loaded tour.
Yeah. I mean, he shot me a couple ideas. We're definitely going to put them into play, see how it works.
Wow.
We've been, like I said, Lacey came on really to kind of be, she was going to kind of just help with camera work and pictures and stuff. And then she just started diving in and helping with a lot of other things. So now she's kind of become more of a PA. But I think it's not going to take her long before she's just my boss.
Right.
And she, which is fine with me. I need a boss. I need somebody to go, no.
Yeah.
You've had enough beer. Let's
comedians,
go.
We're not the most disciplined people on the...
That is wild.
Yeah.
And for people not to understand, like, this is a group of people who their goal is to work 1 hour a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Doing something fun.
Right, and enjoy it.
Yeah. That's their goal. They don't have a great work ethic.
Yeah.
But if you want to succeed, if you want to you better fucking change your attitude.
Yeah.
Because and I heard, I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it. I heard Jerry Seinfeld say it the other day, but I think he was quoting somebody else. We work during the day. Mm-hmm. We just collect the money at night.
Yeah.
During the daytime is when you're booking, it's when you're writing jokes, it's when you're working out your set. That's the work.
Yeah.
Right.
At nighttime, you just go and say it all and then collect the money.
Yeah.
So it's not a 1 hour a day job, even though that's how most of us refer to it, or that's how we work it, or you know, whatever.
What your parents think if you're young enough,
Yeah.
or what your kids think if you're old enough.
My parents think, oh, you're available all the time.
Yeah. So you don't have a job.
Yeah, he just spends an hour doing those little skits. And,
He's out there doing his little funny stuff.
Go be funny.
We're proud of him.
I mean, he's still got his trophies.
You're not a clean comic. Do your parents, have they seen your act?
My dad has been to a few shows. Yeah. My mom has been to one.
Yeah.
No, my mom's been to two.
Yeah.
She came to the Veterans Benefit show last year.
She did it
I
for the
didn't
troops.
want her to come to any of them.
Yeah.
And here's the main reason why. And I'm going to say this. This would hurt her feelings if she heard it. No offense. My mom's definitely not going to listen to this podcast. I mean, unless I go and put it on her TV.
Right.
Like, she would not know.
Yeah.
My mom is the kind of person that in the middle of a set would go, that's not true. That's not true.
Right.
Tell him the truth. I never said that. Like, she would interrupt a joke
Sounds
or
like
try
my
to have
mom.
a conversation with me. She came to a bar show, the first one she ever came to, and wanted to sit on the front row. And I just went over to her and I was like, Mom, I need you to do me a favor. And she's like, what's up? I said, I say dirty shit. She goes, I know. I said,
No.
I don't want to look you in the eyes while I'm doing it. And she's like, so you don't want me to sit here? And I'm like, no. And I said, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I don't want to be uncomfortable.
I can't do what I gotta do.
Otherwise, it'll affect. And she goes, oh, I get it, 100%. I'll go sit in the back with the black people. My mom is not a funny person. Where she dug that joke up out of, and she was just doing it trying to make me feel bad.
Wow.
I'm like, thanks a lot, Mom. Thanks a lot, Mom.
Your mom's
My mom,
Jewish. That's a surprise.
first, okay. Let me clarify this for the podcast. My mom, 100%, is not a racist person.
Right,
She
yeah.
loves everybody. She said that strictly as a joke, just to make me
That's
feel bad.
hilarious.
I'll also say this: I was probably 38 or 39 years old when that happened.
Yeah.
That was the first joke I'd ever heard my mom say.
Wow.
And
My
she
mom-
killed it.
She fucking
Yeah.
mic
Right
drop,
out the
walked
gate.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom, she was never a funny person.
Yeah,
She was
so-
never.
That you know
She was
of.
enjoyable. She was a pleasant
Sure.
person to be around, but she didn't have the humor, the jokes. She did not. We didn't watch comedies in my house.
Yeah.
If my mom was gone, my dad would watch George Carlin or Richard Pryor
Sure.
or Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby as himself is the greatest stand-up
that was
ever.
my first. Probably it was LB.
You're not supposed to like him anymore.
Oh,
but funny's
I
funny.
don't like.
I'm not a
him,
big fan of
but-
his late work. You know,
Yeah,
like,
he got a little weird.
Yeah.
towards
But
the
I
end
can't
there.
change the fact that, in the late 70s when I was just a little girl,
Yeah.
that happened to be one of the,
I mean, he's.
probably, maybe a Steve Martin album, but like,
yeah.
I mean, I've got
but
a
that
few
was-
Bill Cosby vinyls. That
Yeah.
I've
That's
picked
what
up.
Yeah.
he does
But
a
there's
bit
like-
about going to the dentist.
So, oh my God, I didn't know my butt cheeks could walk. So we had to wait till my mom was gone before we watched anything
Right.
funny because she was like, "This is dumb. I don't like this." She didn't like sitcoms. She didn't like. So it's like when I was growing up, my other friends were like, "Oh, did you watch such and such?" I'm like, "No."
No.
Were there people laughing in the show? Yeah. We
I
didn't
didn't
fucking
see it.
watch it at my house then.
yeah,
It was wild.
no good times.
Yeah, my dad was definitely the one with the sense of humor, and he introduced me to like Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, all that
Oh,
stuff. But yeah, my mom, she liked it, but yeah, my dad showed me like Monty Python and the Holy Grail when I was a little kid, and yeah,
100%.
my mom just not a funny person, enjoyable, but yes, not funny.
Yeah.
Sorry about John. My mom's hilarious.
Oh, her mom has been to a show. Her mom came out on Thanksgiving. That was great.
Over the last year, my mom has started developing dementia.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She's getting fucking funnier.
It can be funny,
Bro, she says the wildest shit now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Enjoy this time.
And my dad had a stroke back in November.
Oh, jeez.
Lost his speech.
Okay.
So now, like, he just says weird things.
Yeah.
But he knows. He realizes that he's messing up his. But that's the only thing that affected it was his speech.
Wow.
So I've got him on one side of the living room that's going, hey, can you go to this kitchen and get me a fire truck? And I'm like, what? And I got my mom on the other side going, yeah, the sheriff came by yesterday. I gave him a hug and told him thank you for your service. I'm like, why were the cops here? And my dad's like, the cops weren't here. Please get me a fire truck?
Wow.
I'm like, what is going on?
Wow.
That's gold.
But I was telling a friend of mine that, and she goes, hey, like, she'd gone through this with her parents in the past, and she goes, keep the sense of humor. You're gonna need it. You're gonna need it later.
You got to.
And what's great is my mom doesn't realize it, and she's also it would embarrass her because my mom was a very intelligent person.
Sure.
She's the smartest lady I've ever met in my life. So now she would be embarrassed if she realized how off she was getting.
Yeah.
My dad realizes what's going on, and he thinks it's funny too. So like he'll say, because every once in a while he'll say something, I'll kind of cock my head and go, try again, and he'll go, that didn't make any sense, did it? And I'm like, no. And he goes, you're going to put this in your jokes. And I said, yeah. And he goes, I want to hear what you write. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I want to write that you're nuts, dude.
Yeah, I love that because like one of my favorite comics is Tom Segura, and he'll talk about he'll talk about his parents, he'll talk about his kids, talk about and I love that. So I like hearing you incorporate all of that stuff. I've tried to do that with my comedy. I just hadn't quite made it work yet. What advice would you have for young comics trying to find their voice, so to speak?
Or old comics who are just getting started.
Yeah, that's Lord and me. Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to be a shock comic, which is a very small crowd. That's a very small audience that you're going to be pitching to. So, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But unless that's who you want to be, don't write those jokes because you think it'll. Okay, I'll just say this one fucked up thing about abortions, just so that it'll get a laugh, so that I can then move on to something. Don't do it. Yeah. Because then, bam, now you're now stamped, and people, the few, even if it's just a few people at that show or at that open mic, whatever it is, they've now stamped you. Oh, and they're not going to listen to what else you say.
That's a good.
So point. Don't do something that's not you just for the sake of being able to do something. Yeah. Now you're going to go up there and do shit that's not you because you're trying to figure it out. But don't go up there and try to be something that you don't want to be either. Like, kind of figure it out. Like, what comedy do you like the best? Is like if that style of comedy works best for you, then that's probably the kind of comedy that you're also going to be able to relay. So that's probably the style that you should try to write in. Now, be careful of listening to the same comic too much. It's very easy to everybody knows don't steal jokes. Right. But it's also very easy to copy a cadence or copy a style. You're not meaning to. That's just the person that you watch the most. So that's how you're like, this is how they deliver. So this is how I'll deliver. Yeah. It's real easy to pick up on that and not even know that you're doing it.
Like when you're hanging out for a while with someone with an accent, and then you start to kind of you realize.
I've seen so many young comics. I was in El Paso a couple months ago, and then there's a young guy I know from Houston. It's hilarious, but they'll do the Shane Gillis thing, like the holding the mic like this. And he's great.
Pumping their fist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but that's a good point. I try not to ape on anybody else's style.
There's people like I've heard people just go. They're doing all their own material, but 100% they sound like Nate Bargatze on stage. Yeah. Or they sound like Dave Attell on stage. Hey, that's their cadences. That's theirs too. You can't take that either. Yeah. No. So you just have to find a way to just be careful and make sure that you're not stepping into that also. But it's the only art form that there is no practice besides just practice. Go do it.
That's what I tell people. You can go in a room and sit by yourself for 18 months and come out and be Eddie Van Halen. You can't go into a room by yourself in 18 months and come out and be Carlin or Pryor. Right. You got to have the audience.
Yeah. Unless you just rent your own arena and invite as many people as you can. I mean, technically, you can start at the top. Yeah. And then work your way up. Well, I didn't know that until tonight.
The quality of the show was not at the top, though.
Did you film that?
I paid a guy to film it. Never got the video.
So you have no footage of
Have not seen the guy since. That was 11 years ago. If I walk outside and he's in your parking lot, I'm beating his ass today.
Bro,
here's what's
you get a Netflix special, you're going to hear from that dude. You won't, but
he brought all his own cameras. Like he was a guy that was just getting into that. Yeah. Brought everything, forgot SD cards.
Oh jeez.
Which that's okay. Yeah.
I've never done this before either.
I don't remember what they came out of, but I was like, I've got some. Oh, okay. So I just so he didn't even have to use. I gave him my SD cards. Just record it. Wow. Take them out. Hand them back.
Hand them back. Yeah.
packed his stuff up. Haven't seen him
Here's
since.
what happened. He left the lens cap on.
I really do. I think
something he's like, I got nothing for him.
And all he had to do was go, dude, I fucked up. Here's your money back.
But he didn't think it was going to work.
Wow.
Like, he was like, don't worry about it, dude. You're not going to want this.
We're getting close to now. Do you
At
have
least give my money back.
Yeah. Do you have any final questions, Lori, for Matt?
So many, but not that we have time for.
Right.
Again, my apologies for...
No, you're fine.
But this has been great.
Yeah. You've always been great. You've given me some really good advice, and over, in the, few times we've gotten to work together, but we appreciate you doing this. Do you have any final thoughts or anything before we go?
Man, I would say this is something that from the outside looking in looks as though it could be an issue. There are plenty of people to tell jokes to.
Yeah.
There's not one spot in town that everybody has to go to.
Yeah.
Don't get choked out.
Mm-hmm.
Get out there, tell the jokes, get in front of people. Never miss an opportunity to be on stage.
That's what I hear.
That's all it takes. Never miss an opportunity to be on stage.
Yeah.
I've driven a long ways to do a show for 5 people.
Wow.
So, and monetarily, obviously not worth it. Had to scratch some change together for gas to get home. But those 8 people still follow me today, and that was 10 years ago.
There you go.
Right.
So, never miss an opportunity. Never miss an opportunity to promote yourself. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Oh, I don't like to share flyers that often. I don't want to feel like I'm annoying my friends. Fuck them. If they're your friends, they understand you're hustling and you're trying to make it work.
Exactly.
If they unfollow you, they weren't your friend anyway. So just keep getting out there, keep pushing, keep promoting. The hardest touring comic in America right now is Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
He posts on his social media 6 times a day. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for you.
Hell yeah.
Right.
So where can people find you, Matt?
Matt Ferrell Comedy on everything. You just go to Matt Ferrell Comedy. It'll take you to Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever.
Right.
Ferrell.
That's it.
Matt, Matt Ferrell.
That's right.
Right.
And thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in. And good luck at the show tonight. It'll
Appreciate
be out
it.
long over when this comes out, but I hope to. I plan to go. So
Appreciate it, man.
all right,
Thank you.
thanks, Matt. We appreciate you doing it.
It's like,